Kristen Dovniak, holistic nutritionist, healthy mama, and founder of Healthy Mama Life. Today, I want to share with you a video that has been long overdue and long requested. I think it's been 2 years since I've done one of these, and that is a meal prep video. I am a huge fan of eating intuitively, eating the food that feels the best for you. But as mamas, we need a little bit of help getting dinner on the table, and meal prep is my favorite way to teach my clients to make sure that you have healthy, nourishing ingredients in your fridge to use throughout the week. Now, there's a few different ways to meal prep, and I go through all of this in my meal prep course, Healthy Mama Meal Prep. But today I'm going to show you kind of a combination meal prep. So there's a lot of debate over, whether you would call this meal prep or food prep, because I don't believe you need to put food in little Tupperware containers and eat the same thing every day. How boring is that to meal prep food? But this is sort of a combination of food prep and meal prep. Basically, you're creating starters for dishes throughout your week to ease the busiest days. Before you even begin to meal prep, it's important that you have a plan. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over a couple of my brief tips on planning for meal prep, show you all of the groceries that I got for my meal prep and what my meal plan is for the week and what I'm going to prep to ease my healthy mama week. So the first tip I have when it comes to meal planning is to plan for just 5 days, because mama's life happens. We have a super busy night and need to grab takeout. Now, that's the point of doing the meal prep, is to make it easier for you so you don't have to grab takeout as often, but it happens sometimes. And some nights we just want to have pizza night with the fam, and that's cool too. So why don't we just plan for 5 meals? Those other 2 days you can have leftovers, you can grab takeout, you can have pizza night, whatever, but planning 5 days gives you a good, solid structure for your week. So let me tell you what I have on the meal plan this week and a couple of the things that I make sure I prep every time I do meal prep. So I talk about the 5 essential components of meal prep in my meal prep course, but a few of the things that I make sure to prep every week. Some sort of soup or a stew. For me, this week, it's my turkey chickpea chili. So I'm actually not even going to prep that today. I'm going to prep the ingredients, but it's a slow cooker recipe. So what I'm going to do is get all the ingredients ready today, and then on Monday, which is a super busy day for us because my daughter has karate until 5 p.m. and then we have to pick my husband up for work. So coming home to a delicious, nourishing meal is awesome, especially when it's at the beginning of the week. When you cook some sort of a soup or stew at the beginning of the week, then you have it for leftovers throughout the week. It's perfect for lunches. And as you know, if you're a chili fan like we are, it gets better as the week goes on. So I always do some sort of a soup or a stew. I always do some sort of a protein that I can use in multiple meals. So one of my favorite things to do is a whole chicken. So I'm going to do a whole chicken in the Instant Pot. For those of you who don't have an Instant Pot, it works great in the slow cooker. It's a set it and forget it kind of recipe, and I will post both of those recipes for you underneath this video or on the blog post so you can see my slow cooker chicken as well as my Instant Pot chicken. So the whole chicken is great because I can use it for dinner that night, and then I can use the leftovers for so many different purposes. I love making a chicken salad with the leftover chicken. I love making chicken soup, and there's so many different options for chicken soup. You can do a classic chicken soup, you can do chicken noodle soup, you can do chicken and wild rice soup, you can do a white chicken chili. There is so much you can do with a whole chicken. But this can be any sort of protein that you want to prep at the beginning of the week. If you're a vegetarian, this could be a giant batch of beans, or it could be some pre-cooked tempeh. You could also do a big batch of ground chicken, ground turkey, ground beef. That's a great option as a starter that you can use in multiple meals. So some sort of a soup or stew, a pre-prepped protein, something for breakfast. Mamas, I don't know about you, but breakfast is the busiest time of the day in our house. It's crazy. We're running around trying to get everyone everywhere. We work with one car, so we're trying to get my husband out the door, get my kiddo ready for school, and keep my 1-year-old out of the cat food. So we've got a lot going on, and having something prepped and ready to go is so helpful. So today I'm going to do my broccoli cheddar egg cups. Again, something that you can do week after week or every couple of weeks, and there's so many different varieties that you can choose from, and I'll post some of my favorite options too. that you can make them over and over again and your family doesn't get crazy bored of them. So you want a soup or a stew, some sort of pre-prepped protein, something for breakfast, and then you want some sort of fresh fruits and veggies chopped and ready to go. This is one of my easy tips if you choose to do only one thing to start off on your meal prep journey this week. Pre-prep some fruits and veggies. It's so easy. So come home, when you come home from the store, you can wash all of your veggies and chop them up and store them in glass containers in your fridge. Then you have fruits and veggies that are easy to grab for snacks, for lunches, or to use as starters in meals. When your carrots and celery are already sliced up in the fridge in a container, how much easier is it to chop those up and add them to a recipe? Carrot, celery, and onion are the starter to most soups, stews, casseroles, so having those ready in the fridge just makes your life so much easier. And it's great so the kids know that they can just go in the fridge and grab fresh fruit, fresh veggies whenever they want to. So that's the only thing you do. I highly recommend doing it. And the last thing I recommend is having something to snack on. Now, this could be dual purpose. You could choose to do veggies and fruit, and that could be the snacks that you have on hand, but I like something that's fun for the kids to grab, for you to grab, and a little bit filling if you need some sort of an afternoon snack or some sort of pick-me-up just to get you through the afternoon before dinner or mid-morning. So I like doing things like almond flour muffins that are packed with plant-based protein. Or today, I'm going to do my easy no-bake energy balls. And this is something that I can do while the other stuff that I'm making is cooking. So it's easy, I don't need to bake them. Really all it is mixing, setting in the fridge for a few minutes, rolling, and then I'm good to go. And then I have snacks for myself, my husband, and the kids throughout the week. So, my meal plan for the week with all of the groceries. I'm gonna show you the groceries that I picked out for this week. And this isn't including basics. I've got my spices, I've got my oils, I've got my coconut aminos, things like that already in the cupboards or in the fridge ready to go. So I'm not including those things, but these are just the basics of what I need for my meal plan for the week. Now, one of my best budget tips for meal prepping is to utilize similar ingredients in different recipes and different meals. So you'll notice whenever I do a meal prep video or I talk about my meal plan, I talk about using similar ingredients. So you'll notice that some of these ingredients are ingredients for multiple meals. So today is Sunday where I am. So for tonight, I'm going to make that whole roasted chicken. Now, like I said, you can do this in the Instant Pot like I am because it's super quick. You can also do this in the slow cooker if you want to get it in there in the morning and have it ready for Sunday dinner, or you can do it in the oven, but it does take about an hour and a half. The nice thing about doing something like that when you're meal prepping is you do that first. I highly recommend doing whatever takes the longest first, and once you get that in, ready to go, then you can just set it and forget it, let it cook while you get the rest of your meal prep done. So Sunday night dinner is going to be the whole roasted chicken, and I'm just going to use some butter and Italian seasonings to spice that up, and then I can use it in different recipes throughout the week. I'm going to use it for a chicken salad that I'm going to make tomorrow for lunches, but I need to cook the chicken first and let it cool before I can do that. The other wonderful thing about cooking a whole chicken is that I can use the leftover bones and the carrot, celery, onion, and whatever herbs I have on hand, put it back in the Instant Pot, set it on slow cook with some water, and make bone broth. And then I have the base for soup for tomorrow. So I'm making that turkey chili tomorrow. That's my next recipe, is my slow cooker turkey chickpea chili. It's got a little bit of a smoky flavor to it. I use chickpeas as kind of a different variation of beans. So I use chickpeas, I use the ground turkey with my homemade taco seasoning that I'm gonna show you, some peppers, some fire roasted diced tomatoes, and I'm gonna throw that all in the slow cooker and it'll be ready for dinner. And I need some broth in that. So rather than buying the broth at the store, I make my own homemade broth for free with ingredients that I already purchased and I'm already using. A great tip for this is to take any of your scraps, that your end pieces of your celery or your carrots or things like that, and store them in your freezer. And then you can grab those and toss them into your bone broth, and it just adds a little bit more flavor, a little bit more bulk to your bone broth. I'm going to do a video eventually on actually cooking bone broth because it's so simple, but it is an essential in our house, and it's so nourishing for you too. But I digress, that's for a different day. So Sunday night, I've got that whole chicken. Monday, and I'm going to do some roasted vegetables on the side with that. I forgot to mention that. That is something else that takes a little bit longer, so that's something that I will get started about halfway through my meal prep. So I can do other things while those are roasting, but then when my meal prep is done, I've got my chicken, I've got my roasted veggies, and my family and I can enjoy dinner right away, and then all it is cleanup, but it is so worth it because the rest of the week is all set and ready to go. So I've got my whole roasted chicken and my roasted veggies tonight, and then I've got my turkey chickpea chili for tomorrow. On Wednesday night, I've got my Tex Mex turkey taco pie. This is like a fan favorite. It sounds funny to say that I even have fans, but it is our family favorite and the community's absolute favorite recipe. I've been making it for years. It's really simple. Remember how I said I use similar ingredients in different recipes? Well, the Tex Mex Turkey Taco Pie uses ground turkey. So I'm going to cook up 2 pounds of ground turkey with that taco seasoning I told you about, and some peppers and onions, just like in the turkey chili recipe. And I'm gonna have that ready to go, and then all I have to do is steam some sweet potatoes, which I'll chop up in my meal prep ahead of time, and add those on the top, and I add some shredded Mexican cheese, and I bake it in the oven. This is something you can either make the whole thing ahead of time, put some foil on it and leave it in your fridge, or put it in a container that has a lid, and then you can just bake it for like 20 minutes. Everything's already cooked, so it's really easy to come home to, or you can make the components up and it comes together really quickly for an easy weeknight dinner. So that's my plan for Tuesday. I said Wednesday. That's my plan for Tuesday. Doesn't really matter because you could be watching this on any day. And you can do your meal prep on any day that works for you. For me, Sunday works best. So on Wednesday, I have another slow cooker recipe planned. Yes, we do a lot of slow cooker recipes. If you don't have a slow cooker, you can always do these on the stove, but slow cooker makes your life so much easier. I highly recommend every mama grabs one. You can get one at Target for like 20 bucks. It's not a huge investment, but I promise it'll make your life easier, especially in the wintertime when we love those hearty soups and stews. Slow cooker option is great. So I'm gonna make my slow cooker sweet potato, kale, and beef stew. So I've got a pound of ground stew beef right here. So I'm actually gonna leave this in my fridge today. I'm not gonna cook it today because I'll do that the morning of, but you could pre-cook this ahead of time, not cook it, but sear it ahead of time in the pan with some avocado oil and just some salt and pepper. So I'm gonna do that in the morning, and then I'm gonna add some chopped sweet potatoes, some carrot, celery, onion, which I'll already have prepped. Life is so easy with this, right? Some of the bone broth, and then the kale doesn't even need to be added until right at the end. And I'm just gonna add some seasonings to that. That is gonna come together in the morning in 10 minutes, and I just set it before we go on with our day. Wednesday nights are another busy night in our house because my daughter has dance. So when she comes home from dance, the house smells delicious. It's gonna be beef stew, and that will also, but at this point, we've probably eaten all of our chili. That will serve as a great option for leftovers for the end of the week. You see how you start to plan these things. You're probably not gonna get it right for your family the first time or even the second time. It does take some practice in learning how to plan meals that your family not only loves, but are easy for you and are gonna make your life easier. I go through all of this again in my meal prep course because it talks about meal planning too, but these are just some things to keep in mind. The more you meal plan and the more you meal prep, the more you'll be able to come into a rhythm that works the best for your family. So you're choosing recipes that truly make your life easier and your family loves. And then the last day that I have planned my cauliflower crust shepherd's pie. So guess what it requires? I've got some grass-fed ground beef that I'm gonna cook up today and get that ready to go and keep that in the fridge, but you can also cook that up later on. But it uses carrot, celery, and onion, just like some of the other recipes. So those are super easy to saute up with the beef and some seasonings. I've got some thyme, and you can either use like a Worcestershire sauce or coconut aminos and make that super flavorful as the bottom to your shepherd's pie. And on top, rather than using potatoes, just as a different, slightly more nutrient-dense option, I love using cauliflower. So I'm gonna chop this up today. You can steam it ahead of time if you want, or you can just chop it up, put it in a container, in a glass container with a nice tight lid, and steam it up later on in the week. Since it is Thursday when I'm gonna make it, I'm not gonna prep too much for it, but I will have all the ingredients ready in the fridge. So Thursdays are our easy day. I'm home all day, I'm home in the afternoon, my husband has the car, so I can make a little bit more of a leisurely dinner, grab a glass of wine and saute up my carrot, celery, and onion with my beef and steam up the cauliflower. So I know that night I can spend, a half an hour on dinner. But friends, I'm only spending a half an hour on dinner at night. So many mamas come to me and they're like, we're just getting takeout because I can't spend an hour on dinner. I don't want you to spend an hour on dinner. I want you to spend 20, 30 minutes max on dinner so you can spend more time with your family. And that's what meal planning and meal prep does. And that's why I love it so much. The nice thing about this too is I have a plan set out for the week, and because our weeks are pretty full these days, I'm probably going to stick to it. But if you're someone who wants a little bit more creativity or wants to be able to kind of pick and choose what you're going to eat throughout the week, you can prep these ingredients. You can just prep the ingredients. I call this ingredient prep, and then you can mix and match. If you don't want that meal, you can use the same ingredients in a different meal. You could do that if you wanted to. Or you can choose to eat a different recipe because you've got the ingredients all prepped and ready to go. You can eat Tex Mex Turkey Taco Pie on Monday if you feel like it. There's nothing set in stone. This is what works the best for you and your family. But at least you have the ingredients on hand. You have the meals on hand. You can still eat intuitively and meal plan and meal prep, but this just makes your life so much easier. So I've got those 5 meals, and then the last couple of things that I'm gonna get prepped are I'm gonna chop up some veggies for the kids and my husband to grab, myself to grab for lunches and snacks. I'm also gonna make those broccoli cheddar egg cups and those no-bake energy balls. So what I'm gonna do right now is I'm going to take you through step by step how I make this happen. And I promise you will get more efficient in time as you get into the routine of meal prepping. But this is only gonna take me about 2 hours to prep all of this stuff, and then I have an awesome head start for a healthy, happy, nourished week. All right, I'm gonna put my hair up and my apron on. Let's get cooking. So the first thing I did was rinse off my organic chicken and just pat it dry with a paper towel so it was all ready to be seasoned. And then I took some grass-fed butter and just rubbed it between my fingers a little bit to soften it. It's okay if it's still in a few pieces. It'll still get all melty and delicious when it's in the Instant Pot. Then I seasoned it with some real salt. You could use sea salt or pink Himalayan salt, and then some organic Italian seasoning. You could use whatever seasoning you have on hand. This is what I like for a simple Italian seasoned chicken. And then I placed it in the Instant Pot. And then you need some sort of liquid to put in the Instant Pot for the pressure to work. So I just added some water. You could use broth. And then I put the top on and made sure to check the valve and make sure that it was going to pressurize. And then I put it on for about 40 minutes for my 4-pound chicken. Next, I just started rinsing off some of the veggies that I was going to get prepped after that. I like to rinse veggies in about a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar and water just to get any of the excess gunk off of them. So I got those all ready to go, and then I started chopping some bell peppers for my Tex Mex Turkey Taco Pie and the chili. I love chopping things in bulk like I was talking about, using similar ingredients because it just simplifies prep. Once these are all chopped up, I can put them in a container and store it in my fridge for later use. So I got those all ready to go, and then I moved on to onions. So I just chopped the top and the bottom off of the onions, sliced them in half, peeled any of the excess pieces off, and small diced them so I could use them in multiple different recipes. Just like with the peppers, I just chopped a whole bunch at once. I think I chopped 4 onions. I would rather chop a bunch of onions and cry over the cutting board once than 4 times this week. So I'm just putting those in a container for use during my prep and later on in the week. Next, I made my homemade taco seasoning blend. So I started with 2 tablespoons of chili powder, 1 tablespoon of cumin, 1 tablespoon of garlic powder, 1 tablespoon of oregano, 2 teaspoons of real salt. You can leave this out if you want, but I like having it pre-seasoned. 2 teaspoons of onion powder, 2 teaspoons of coriander, and 1 teaspoon of smoked paprika. One of my favorite things about making homemade spice blends is that you can adjust the seasonings however your family likes. I just gave it a nice shake, and then this is enough for about 3 pounds of meat, so about 3 recipes worth. Next, it was time to start the turkey taco meat. So I added about a tablespoon of avocado oil to my saute pan, got it nice and hot, added some chopped onions that I just chopped up to the pan, and let them turn translucent. Once they were translucent, I gave them a nice stir and then added the ground turkey to the pan. I just chopped up the ground turkey a little bit with my spoon. It's kind of hard to do while it's still raw, but I did the best I could, added some of that taco seasoning, and then just let it cook on the stove. I just kind of watched it and let it cook down until there was no pink left. Then I just put it in a glass container and let it cool completely before I stored it in the fridge. Next, I got going on my sweet potatoes. So I just chopped up about 4 or 5 sweet potatoes. I peeled them, I chopped them up, and these are going to be used in different recipes throughout the week. My Tex Mex taco pie. And so for that, I am going to put the steamer on. So I just got some water in the steamer and put some of the sweet potatoes in the steamer to get them ready and all steamed up. They took about 10 minutes in the steamer, and if you wanted to make the pie now, you could just blend them up in the food processor once they're cold, or at least cooled down, but I just left them for now. Next, I started working on my carrots and celery. Like I said, carrots, celery, and onions are essentials in the kitchen, and so I always have them on hand. So I am just rough slicing up some carrots here. I do this pretty much every week during my meal prep because we eat a lot of carrots and I use them in a lot of recipes. So I'm just slicing them up, and I will store all of these in an airtight container for use later on during the week or for snacking. So I'm getting all my celery ready here. And then I just put those into the airtight container. Next, I started working on my egg cups. So I started chopping some broccoli up just into bite-sized pieces to get ready to steam for the broccoli cheddar egg cups. I also did some extra to use in meals later this week, like roasting with my chicken. So I just put those in the steamer. They take about 6 minutes in the steamer. And then I got my eggs ready. So I just cracked about 10 eggs into a bowl. That's about what fits in my 12-cup silicone muffin pan. And whisked them up just a little bit before adding some real salt and some Italian seasoning and some organic half and half. You can use cream, almond milk, whatever you like. That's just what they had at Trader Joe's that day. And you can use whatever seasonings you would like as well. I also like adding garlic powder to this recipe. Trying to keep it simple today. After that is all whisked up, then I can start to add the other ingredients to it. So I grated some organic cheddar cheese and added some of those chopped onions from the other day, as well as some of that broccoli that I steamed and just left to cool. You don't want it too hot, but it can still be warm when it goes into the eggs. They're about to cook anyway. So I have my oven preheated to 375, and I'm just going to mix up this mixture with the eggs and the cheese and the seasonings, and then I will use a ladle to ladle them into my silicone muffin cups. You don't have to use silicone muffin cups for this. You can make sure you use liners or spray your pan really well because they can stick. So I do love using silicone. I got it for like $10 at Marshall's, but you definitely don't need to have it to make egg muffins. So I'm just putting those in that 375 degree oven for about 20 to 25 minutes. You'll see they come out nice and puffy, almost like little soufflés, but they do deflate later on. Next, I'm making my no-bake energy balls. So I'm adding a cup of oats, a half of a cup of shredded coconut, a half of a cup of ground flaxseed, a half of a cup of chocolate chips. You could use dried fruit instead. Just a pinch of sea salt, a teaspoon of vanilla extract, about 1/3 of a cup of maple syrup or honey, and a half of a cup of peanut butter. You could also use almond butter, sunflower butter, whatever your fancy. This is a very versatile recipe. You can also, if you prefer, as I mix this up, you'll see, you can use the food processor to process the oats and the coconut if you want, so it's a little less textured, but I like it like this. So I'm just mixing it up well, just so that it's all combined. This is a super simple 5-minute recipe, and then you'll have snacks for the whole week. I'm placing it in the fridge for just 10 minutes before I take it out and roll. You might find it helpful to put some coconut oil on your hands before rolling it out, because they do tend to stick, but the longer they're in the fridge before you roll them out, the easier they will be to roll. Well, there you have it. Just a couple hours and prep for the entire week. And you'll notice there were a couple things that I made full dishes, and a lot of it is just stuff to get me ready for a simpler, easier week. So I have my whole chicken I did in the Instant Pot. Doesn't look as pretty as when you roast it in the oven, but it's quick. It was done in about 45 minutes after it took the Instant Pot a little bit time to pressurize. That will be dinner tonight, and chicken salad tomorrow with my homemade mayo. I'll do a video on that soon because I know you guys have been requesting it. I've got my broccoli cheddar egg cups, and those are going to serve us for breakfast or snacks throughout the week. For snacks, I also made my super easy no-bake energy balls, and I did a bunch of veggie prep. So I've got my peppers, and these are going to serve for my Tex Mex Turkey Taco Pie and my turkey chickpea chili. And then I also have some onions for the turkey chickpea chili and the Tex Mex Taco Pie. And I'm also going to use some of these in the beef stew later on. I also made up a batch of the taco beef, and I already put some of the onions in there, so I can use some of these onions later on in my other recipes. I steamed up some sweet potatoes. I kept half of them raw, and I'm going to use these in my stew later on this week. And half of them I'm going to put in the food processor. You can put them in the food processor cold and just blend them up with a little bit of sea salt. And I'm going to put those on top of my turkey taco meat that I made and add some shredded Mexican cheese, and that's going to be my turkey taco pie. Super easy. And then I chopped up a bunch of veggies. These are going to become snacks and lunch sides for the week, and then they're all ready to go to chop into smaller pieces to use in my sweet potato, beef, and kale stew, and my cauliflower crust shepherd's pie that I'm going to make later on in the week. So I gave myself an awesome head start to the week with just a couple hours of prep to get myself and my family ready for a simpler, healthier week. So I hope this inspired you a little bit to get your meal prep game on and do a little bit of prep at the beginning of the week just to make your life easier. It's one of the simplest ways you can live a healthier, happier life. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button. Please follow me on Instagram and Facebook. I'm at Healthy Mama Chris, and you can find all of these recipes in the show notes below or on my website, healthymamachris.com. Have an awesome day. Before you even begin to meal plan, it's important. Oh, I said it again.
Meal prep.
Before you even begin. Before. I'm just gonna do like an outtakes at the end.